Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and without any further delay today we're going to talk about baritone guitars. Not only are we going to talk about baritone guitars, we're going to talk about this right here, which is the Urge Baritone from PureSalem Guitars. It is a brand new baritone on the market. It is the first production model baritone for PureSalem, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Big thanks to the gentleman over at PureSalem for lending me one long enough to make the video, and yeah, let's just get into it. Alright, so without further delay, here it is. The Urge Baritone guitar from the fine folks over at PureSalem Guitars. Now, with it being a baritone guitar, I'm sure most of you are wondering right off the bat, what is the scale length? And that scale length is 27.5, which I know for some folks out there, that's not what they're looking for if they're trying to get into lower than, say, F or the bass E territory, or even lower than that if you're doing things like what Lowe's does, playing in essentially bass territory D. Either way, we are able to accommodate a myriad of great baritone tunings with 27.5. You could probably get as low as G if you'd like, but right now I have it strung up with 68 to 14 set of baritone strings, and I am rocking it in drop A, and it feels flawless there. Was an absolute joy to set up. Not a whole lot of work was needed. And so just kind of word to the wise, if you're someone who's looking to get into that super low territory, so anything, say, lower than G, you may require a pretty extensive setup and obviously a different set of strings to accommodate that tuning. But if you're someone who's wanting to go that low, you may want to look into an even longer baritone in order to compensate for the tension differential. Either way, let's get into the specs on the instrument aside from just the length of the neck. So aside from just being a super cool baritone instrument, let's talk about all the things that make this guitar really cool and unique, and that is the cool spec set. So we're going to start with this lovely neck, which of course, 27.5 baritone neck. It is also a roasted mahogany neck, which you don't see that a lot on any other companies that I'm aware of. You see it on almost everything that PureSalem makes, and it may be the one defining thing that really sets them apart other than just the general aesthetic of their guitars, because these necks are so smooth, so satiny, they feel incredible. Every PureSalem guitar I've ever played, which I think is 4 at this point, has just felt amazing on the neck alone. Even if the body shapes or whatever aren't for you, if you get your hands on one of the necks, you're going to be like, man, I wish every guitar came with this. So that's one thing that PureSalem is really nailing. Also, note to other guitar companies out there, if you put roasted maple or roasted mahogany necks on your guitars and they are like this, you're going to sell a lot more of them because it's incredible. The stability is better. It just feels and plays like a dream. It also looks amazing. Maybe it's not your thing. I don't know. Either way, I think it's spectacular, and PureSalem did a great job. Comes with this lovely black binding that is offset by these pearloid inlays, so those really pop. Great if you're in a dark situation like a stage. They're really going to stick out. In addition to that, you have locking tuning keys, which are PureSalem branded. They seem to be something close to a Godo, I don't know how you pronounce that, and I'm sure someone will correct me in the notes here or in the description. Either way, they're great. I put a new set of baritone strings on this guitar when it arrived and got it all set up to what I prefer as a player. It's holding that great. I haven't had to tune the guitar since I stretched the strings. So that's a good mark. It's good marks right there. It's a really encouraging thing. If you have a guitar, super reliable tuning, especially when you're dealing with super low stuff. So that's great. Moving on to some of the other specs here. We got rosewood fingerboard, which is standard stuff, but also just a nice complement to everything else that's going on here. Moving into the body, which is a mahogany body, which is amazing. It's got a nice balanced weight to it. It is a little bit hefty, but I kind of dig that. It has this lovely carve in it, which is something that PureSalem is doing more and more. And at first I wasn't certain of it, but seeing it in person and really interacting with it, it's just such an aesthetically pleasing thing to see on an instrument. It's a really unique take on a body shape of this kind, and it's just got a unique character to it, and that's something that I think PureSalem does really well. It's having really aesthetically pleasing and unique looking guitars, not to mention the spec set and how well they play. It did come with some lovely P90 pickups that are also PureSalem branded. They are kind of medium to overwound feel. I don't know how else to explain it. They kind of feel hot, but You can play with a little bit of dynamic and still get quite a bit out of it. That's the only thing of mention I think that I would change about this guitar, is that had this guitar come with humbucker routes, I feel like it would provide itself to have a lot more options for different users in the future. So someone who is looking for a baritone guitar and wants something unique that no one else really has as far as the aesthetics of it, getting something like this and having the ability to put whatever pickups they want in it without heavy modification would be a real bonus. But that being said, I like P90s personally, and I think these sound great. Just a heads up, they are a little noisy if you get your hands on them, but you'll be fine. It's nothing a little noise gate can't fix. Or maybe you just want to be noisy. If you're doing doomy stuff, who cares? Feedback all day long, it doesn't matter. Moving on from there, we've got this amazing Tone Pros bridge, which is a great Tune-O-Matic style bridge. It's really reliable. This is high quality hardware, which is something you don't often see in guitars in this price range. And that's pretty impressive. Taking a look at the back here, pretty plain stuff. Just dealing with this lovely PureSalem branded neck plate. And yeah, nothing of real mention there, but everything seems to be top loading. As far as that goes, you do have your input jack here, which is also a nice high quality Switchcraft jack. And overall, the specs are great. I'll put the actual list here on the screen and you can kind of examine that yourself, but I bet you'd like to hear this guitar a bit. So let's go get into that, and then I'll come back and give you my final thoughts and wrap this thing up.
If you like gear, stuff, and things, and you're enjoying the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so that YouTube lets you know every time a new video goes up. And of course, if you like the video, smash that like button.
Alright, so that was the playthrough, and I tried to put quite a bit of tonal variance in there, so you've got some distortion, you've got some fuzz, you've got some light overdrive, you've got some clean, and some ambient clean stuff going on there. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, you didn't really play the guitar very much throughout the video, I'm sorry about that. But just to let you know, all the music you're hearing in the background throughout this video also primarily features this instrument. Only thing that's there that wouldn't be this instrument is bass and drums. So hopefully that helps, and I'll also put a link in the description to where you can hear those audio tracks isolated, minus me talking, so that you can get an even better feel for what the instrument is capable of sounding like. With that being said, for a company to enter the baritone space this strong is pretty impressive. This guitar out of the box was flawlessly set up for what was on it. The strings that were on it and all that were set up perfectly. I prefer a different set of strings for baritone, so I changed those out and set it up myself for that. But no fretwork was needed at all. The fretwork was flawless out of the box, which is part of why it makes it such a dream to play, not to mention the lovely satiny feel of the roasted mahogany neck. But overall, once I put my 68 to 14 gauge set on there and set it up, it was perfect, and I could very easily just be playing shows with this guitar with no hesitation. And I hope that folks like you that are watching this will feel the same about it. Now, there's a lot of companies out there making baritones these days, not as many as what one would hope, but they're all kind of doing the same thing, for a lack of a better term. They're mostly all just 27-inch scale guitars, so this has kind of got the extra half-inch, so it's beating them there. On top of that, they're your standard shapes, your Les Paul shapes, your Tele shapes, Strat shapes. Nothing too unique there. Color choices may be unique in other manufacturers, but the real highlight for me of PureSalem stuff, other than just the overall quality of the builds, is the aesthetic appearance of these instruments. There's really nothing else out there on the market that looks like them at all. And when they're looking this cool and unique and playing this well out of the box and just having such great spec sets, it's crazy to me to think that anyone would spend the money on something from one of the legacy brands when you could spend probably a fraction of that money and get something with much more unique character and quality and even better specs. And I think it's time to drop the legacy brands and head on over to folks like PureSalem, because they're doing it right, and they care about you playing their instruments. They care about their instruments being amazing out of the box, because if they're not, no one's going to play them, and they know that, and they're doing it right. PureSalem all day long. I hope that anyone out there that's interested in baritone stuff is excited to see a new company making baritones on the market, and I hope to see some of you playing these instruments soon. I know if I were in the position to own one, I would hang on to one. Unfortunately, I have to send this one back to PureSalem, but I'm very grateful that they were kind enough to send me one to try out. It's been a real treat, and I hope you got to know it a bit. And I guess until next time, it's been me, it's you, Gear Stuff and Things. This is the PureSalem Urge Baritone. Please like, subscribe, hit the little bell. Notifications will happen when new videos go up. And yeah, just, man, what a cool baritone. See you next time.